Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of More Life with Jaina Dotwani
and Arya Shah. Our goal for this podcast is to open the minds of our generation to new career options, opportunities, and just to show the world that there's so much more to life.
Today we're with the starting center of the offensive line for the New York Jets, Joe Tippmann.
How's it going? Appreciate you guys having me on.
Thank you so much.
How are you today?
I'm doing good. I can't complain. It's beautiful outside.
It's so nice.
So kind of just jump right in. A lot of people know you as a football player, obviously. But what's one fact about yourself that you would say not many people know?
I would say probably I come from a big family. I have 5 brothers and 1 sister.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's big to some people. Back in Indiana, it's not that big all the time.
Yeah.
I got cousins and stuff that have 11 brothers and sisters.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, I come from a big family, so I like doing stuff with them when I get the chance, going back home, back to Indiana, and just being able to hang out with my friends, family, cousins. So yeah.
Yeah. Did all of them support you through your whole football career and your athletic journey?
Yeah. Oh yeah. My family's been great. Even my wife, I got to shout her out always. She's a hero for me. I mean, just somebody who's always there for me, always supporting me, helping me out. Then I got to shout out my parents as well.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been able to do any of this without them. I spent being able, the opportunities that they gave me at a young age is just something that I definitely probably took for granted at the time. But, they were always able to, get me to my next practice or get me to a workout and all this stuff. So just giving me the opportunity to pretty much, that's the only reason I'd say I am where I am today. So big shout out to my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were talking about that they gave you a bunch of opportunities as a kid. Did you always play football, or did you play any other sports when you were growing up?
Pretty much just football. I played I think it was my junior year, I threw shot put in track. And then other than that, I played basketball until 6th grade. I was not very good at it. Never have been. But then other than that, I just strictly just football.
Yeah. When did you know that you wanted to continue with football for as long as you could?
I'd say so. Actually, my freshman year of high school, we had this legendary coach, high school coach. He was a great guy. He ended up passing away after my freshman year, but he pulled my parents to the side after a practice or a game, and I knew at that point I loved playing football, and I just didn't really know that I would have the opportunities that I ended up having. But he pulled my parents to his side and they said hey, if you can, keep his head on straight, make sure he stays out of trouble. I think he'll be able to play for a really long time. And then hearing that from somebody like him, he in the past had put, but a couple of other guys into the NFL. So hearing that from him, I just it kind of shocked me, and it definitely helped keep my head on straight.
Yeah, and that's taking that step into going into the NFL is something that most people don't do. Would you say he made the greatest impact on your future right now?
No, I'd say to say someone made the greatest impact is hard, just because, also like I was saying, my parents, and it's been a combined effort from everybody, including him, my parents, one of my coaches in high school, another one, he played for the Jets actually back in, I think around 2000 to 2007 or something. So he was a tackle, but, just being able to learn from him being, I was back at the time I was playing guard, tackle. Now I, pretty much mostly center, but being able to learn from him, that was definitely somebody who had an impact on my life. My high school head football coach, my grandpa, he passed away.
Oh, wow.
I think my freshman year of high school, but he was an athlete as well. He played basketball. He played basketball at Xavier. I think he played a little bit in the NBA, but just him being able to kind of rub the sports kind of off onto me was something that really impacted my life. And, he's somebody I still look to, still think about to this day.
To kind of draw all back, can you explain everything that happened between your athletic journey and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So where do you want me to start?
I guess during high school, college,
Yeah.
and then...
So it was I'd say, so I started playing football, high school football. I started playing football in 4th grade.
Oh.
And then 4th through 8th grade, I was always an offensive lineman. I always wanted the ball, and they wouldn't give it to me. But I went from, that to, freshman year playing. Still wasn't very good, but I kind of just I was a big body. That's something,
Yeah.
people are always looking for. And I kind of just, knew that, I would have to kind of really focus in on myself. I couldn't just be doing, the practices that, just coming out to practice, I knew I'd have to do some stuff on my own. So kind of after freshman year, I started, doing a lot of like off-season workouts and like there was, I don't even know, sports performance workouts. So it's not really just focused on one sport. It's like, just overall, agility, speed, strength. And that was something that, really I think took me to the next level. But, at the same time, I knew I'd have to put weight on. So freshman year, just eating and working out, I weighed 220, went from 220 to 245. And then, so I think it was sophomore year was when like colleges actually started looking at me. I was kind of getting invites. It was after my sophomore season. So I played that whole season at 240. After my sophomore season, they started really like, actually, kind of talking to me, inviting me to camps and stuff, because that's kind of how they do it,
Yeah.
invite you to camps, see how you play, kind of see your character, as a person, see if you're a good kid. And then after that year, I went from 240 to going into my junior year, 283.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I jumped 40 pounds that year. So then going into my junior year, I think the first school that actually ever talked to me, I forgot to mention this, was Wisconsin. They came to my school and, invited me to camp and stuff. But I got offered from them my junior year. And then after that, you get one offer and then a lot of them will start coming in. So then I got, a lot of Big Ten offers and stuff. But I kind of knew in my heart that I wanted to go to Wisconsin. I found myself like every time I would visit somewhere else, I was comparing it back with Wisconsin. So I knew that, eventually was able to realize that's where I wanted to go. So then I committed there, so after that season, going into my senior season, I went from 280 to 315. So another jump, but all this time, was healthy and just, being able to work out and all that stuff and the opportunities that I had, it really helped me. But I played my senior season knowing, in early June, I'd be moving up to Wisconsin to go play the next 4 years there. So went up there, great school, had a great time up there. My freshman year, I redshirted, so that means, I don't know if you guys know what that means, you're not really playing,
Yeah.
like you're just practicing, and it was a great like opportunity for me to develop as a player, develop as a young man. At that point I'm 18, 19 years old. So then going into my next season, going into my sophomore year, I played didn't play, still not starting. I ended up actually hurting my shoulder, went through shoulder surgery,
Oh,
got
wow.
this one done, my labrum, and then so kind of put me back another season. The next season was my first year actually starting, so I started that season, did well, had a lot of fun, made some, great friends, just great, relationships with people, just playing, doing what I love to do, is just playing
Yeah.
football. So then after that season, I got my left shoulder done, so I had to go through the whole surgery and stuff, and that was kind of like, just another great opportunity for me to kind of, learn to grow as a person. Going through injuries and stuff, that's, you can ask like almost any athlete,
Yeah.
that's been, especially any that's been through them, it's, one of the hardest things. You kind of get pushed to the back, you feel like you're not a part of the team anymore, you're not a part of the sport, you're not doing what you love to do. So that was hard, not getting through that, another thing that just made me stronger. So then after that season, I got my shoulder done and then went and played one more season. So now I'm in my fourth year at Wisconsin. Played that season, played the whole year, played every game. And then after that, I kind of had to make the decision of, whether I'd be coming back to school or whether I'd be going to the NFL. And, it was scary because, I never know. Your agent, my agent's an awesome dude, and he's been great, perfect. Everything I've needed, he's done for me. But you don't know if they're actually being truthful. You don't know if they're, they want you just to grab your money, to kind of, So trust. I just had to put all my trust into him, and he was saying that, you will be drafted. Like if you come out this year, he said, because of injuries, and the younger you can get into the NFL, the better. So he was like, I think it's a good idea. So after that season, made the decision to go out and train. So after that, I flew out to California, where I trained out there doing the pre-combine stuff, and did all my training out there. Loved it. It was beautiful out there.
It's so nice out there. I love it.
You can't complain. It was, I think, December to March I was out there, and it was like 60 and sunny the whole time. Like it was, and there's everything you could ever want to do out there. But then after that I went back to Indiana. After I did the combine training, was with my family for the drafts. Got picked 42nd overall for the Jets.
Oh wow!
And so ever since then I've been playing for the Jets. My rookie year I started off not starting. Ended up after 2 games, took because of injuries I went in at right guard, played 4 or 5 games there. Then the starting center got hurt, so then I moved into center. Took over that spot, and then I've been starting at center ever since.
You're talking about your journey and you've come so far. Even just with me and Jana, we're only in middle school, but we are both athletes. You have a podcast or in advanced classes, and we face so much hate. And I'm guessing through your entire journey, I'm guessing people have not been on your side completely, whether it's your classmates or other athletes. What do you do to overcome that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's always going to be people that are hating on you. I've had it my whole life, and one of the things my wife, one of the things that bothers her is I don't let stuff bother me.
Yeah.
And it's not great advice, but you can't. Everybody's going to have their opinion, of what you guys are doing right now, which is such an awesome thing. Especially getting into it so young. You guys are little entrepreneurs, but but you just can't. The outside noise. I don't know. I like to think of it like I'm on a path, and everybody is along the side. They have distractions. They're trying to put in their 2 cents, and it's you don't need their 2 cents.
Yeah.
You don't need what they say. You're doing what you want to do. So that's something is just it doesn't bother me. I have people hating on me, whether I'm at the game or anything. There's people hating, looking from the outside in, but they're on the outside. So, it's what you're doing inside is what, kind of really matters.
Your work ethic and your drive and your motivation it's just something to look up to, because you've worked so hard, especially from being so young, freshman year. You've overcome so much, and there's so many athletes all over the world, all over the country, trying to get recruited into the NFL and trying their best to do all that. How do you not compare yourself to them, and how do you stay stuck into your own path, as you said?
Yeah, I think a part of it is just putting into your mind what you want to do. It doesn't. There's players, other players in the NFL who, they could be better than me, but in my head, I'm the best. I'm the best at what I do because of the work I put in. It's not something where it's just comparing yourselves to others and stuff. And if you're not putting in the work, then you're just kind of ignoring the fact that you aren't doing everything that you want to do to get where you're trying to go. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't know. I think I like to have this this kind of mindset where I'm the best because of the work I put in and going to continue putting in. It's not just what I've done up to this point. It's the commitment to continue doing that, continue doing the next thing, and trying to always kind of make yourself better and continue growing as a person, as a human.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with that. And I'm a gymnast and Jana's a volleyball player, and obviously our sports are totally different. But one thing I see in common with all athletes are people strive for perfection, and people always want to be perfect. And I see a lot of people comparing themselves to others. And I think you saying that, just having that mindset of thinking that you are the best because of all the work you put in, is something so important for everyone else to know.
Just to also, as you said, as we've already said, you've been through so much, and over the past couple of years, so much has happened and so much has, changed. What is your goals for the future, and what do you plan to continue to do?
Yeah, so my specific goals, I'd say, I got like short-term goals, long-term goals, future goals. But like I'd say long-term is I want to play for the Jets for as long as I possibly can. I want there's players that and like as stuff happens, maybe you get traded, all this stuff. But I would like to play for the Jets for 10 plus years, just so that I can get involved, with the community, with the people, be able to. Get involved even in the building, just kind of establish myself as somebody who wants to be here to make the organization better, to do what I can to, help them take the next step. And so I love the community already out here. So I'm just glad that I'm a part of it, and I want to be a part of it for as long as I can.
Yeah, and being an athlete is totally not easy. And what would you say are some things that you do for yourself, like outside of being an athlete? Like, are there any hobbies or anything that you like to do for yourself just to maintain your mental state and just to keep staying happy?
Yeah, I'd say like I like hunting, fishing, like that kind of stuff. I go down to my parents have a place down in Florida. So I go down there and do a lot of fishing down there. But it's just, you got to have your hobbies. You got to have your distractions so that you can, actually when you're done wanting to think about it, you can push that to the side and then just go clear your mind and, do what you love to do. So having your hobbies, even if it's like my dog, I love taking her outside or just playing with her, just the stuff that helps you completely decompress, completely relax, because you can't just be all high strung all the time. You'll pop.
Yeah.
So I think it's so good to have your hobbies, have just be getting involved, doing all this other stuff that you can do is just great.
And to kind of close it off, what is your biggest piece of advice that you'd give anyone, an athlete, a teenager, just anyone in our generation?
I would say. I would say, going back to what we were talking about earlier, is just like, what other people think about you. It doesn't matter. Like, as long as you keep yourself on the same path that you want to do, even if it's, something that, maybe your, parents or something, friends are saying like, no, I don't think you should do that. Like, why don't you, come hang out with me? All this stuff, like, just to keep your mind focused on that one thing and keep you on your path. You can't listen to what the haters, what those people are trying to say. They're just trying to knock you off. You want to keep going straight down that road, and you might pull off a little bit, but as long as you keep going forward, that's all that matters.
And thank you so much for that, because I think literally everyone in our generation, like anyone can use that in their life forever.
I feel I know. I feel like all of this kind of really ties back into like showing how much support and how important that is, especially like trying to follow your dreams, honestly, and just focusing on yourself and making sure that you're your top priority. I think that's so important.
Absolutely. And you always want to be able to have those people that you can lean back on, your best friends, your family, the people that you trust, that that they're going to support you. Just being able to always know that you have them, in your corner supporting you, and you can go back there and, talk to them and do what you got to do to kind of keep your mind focused on what it is, exactly that you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's so great. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me on. This is awesome.